Thank you for coming by Tori Magoo 44. It is the 25th of October, and we are still on the shocking truth of the Church of Scientology. Hang on. This is going to be on, and this is one of my other little fun things. He's really cool at night. You got to see him at night, but anyway, I just thought I'd show him to you. I'm very much on having a good time as well as the serious things, as you all know. So this one's kind of serious, but it's important that everybody gets it. It's about Scientology, their front groups, and the fleecing of other cultures. Scientology is now moving into other areas, as I've made some videos on the black community. They've now got the community center, which is a riot because they locked out some of the black people that flew in from Sacramento, literally, to do a talk there. And when they found out it wasn't about Scientology, they locked them out on the street. And I made a video about it. I mean, it was amazing. It really was. It was amazing to be there and see this and, you know, have this guy come out and start blaming me. I'm like, wait a minute, pardon me. Aren't you the guy that locked these people that are here to do their talk in your place, and you're locking us, all of us, out of here? You know, it was like, oh, give me a break. It was very weird. But anyway, that's one of their areas. But you now see, I drive around and watch, and there's like a lot of Asians that are getting suckered into this in one way or another. You got to be careful with this and watch out for, if you're parents, watch out for your kids and educate them on these cults, because they're after younger people for the most part. If you watch out any of their ads, they're like, oh, these young kids, and many of them from different cultures. And they use their front groups often for it. Now, Narconon has been in the news. You know, 4 people have died recently in their hands at Narconon. And it's awful to see these young kids, very, very young kids. And, you know, they died at Narconon. So if you're thinking about that as a drug education program, number 1, forget it. Okay, there you go. There's Narconon. Way to Happiness, another good fleecing. You know, it sounds all good. You know, it's like honor your parents and don't lie and don't steal. And it's kind of, to me, it's very similar to the 10 Commandments, except somebody had to pay for it to get the booklets out. And I'll show you one just in case you've never seen one. You probably have, but they have different kinds, different covers. But this is one from last Christmas. The Way to Happiness, Happy Holidays. You know, they always show everybody's all real happy, of course, because it's Scientology. And you know, it's not that it's a bad book. The principles are fine. It's just, it is a way to get people to kind of go, well, yeah, I kind of agree with these things. This isn't bad. And then, well, why don't you come in and find out more about it? And it's an entrance way in. So that's what's wrong with Way to Happiness. Applied Scholastics is another one that they have now put into. They had the Narconon drug education in the whole California school system. Dr. Dave Turetsky and a bunch of people helped expose that, and I was one of the people that talked to the journalist and said, give me the quotes, because no one wanted to give their names of these ex-Narconon people that actually worked there. So he said, I said, give me the quotes, and if I know they're true, I'll tell you or not. And the main one that it was under was that it's definitely under the umbrella of the Church of Scientology International. And so they were given 2 weeks to get the religious aspect out of all of the schools. Of course, Scientology can't change anything for keeping Scientology working. So they ended up kicking them out of the California schools, the public schools. So I say to everyone here, check into your schools. Do they have Narconon drug education? Do they have Applied Scholastics? Are they putting out these Way to Happiness booklets? You know, all of these things are under the Church of Scientology International, and they do, in the United States, cross church and state. So check into them on your local public schools. Whether you have kids there or not, it doesn't matter. It's an important thing. I mean, I have people write me saying, you know, they're plastering up, you know, posters and things trying to get kids to come in. It's awful. They really do prey on young kids. That's how I got in. I was 22 years old. I mean, I wasn't as young as the younger ones that they're getting in now. But 22 is still pretty young to give up to this thing that you think. I mean, the principles that you see seem so good. They are good. It's just they don't do them at all. You know, a world without war. What has Scientology done about war? Nothing. A world without insanity. Scientology actually creates more insanity than they remove. And that's a fact. I mean, there's tons of people who've died in Scientology. There's way too many people who have committed suicide. I personally know 7 people who have committed suicide. That's awful. I mean, young people. Yet last night, someone told me of a 12-year-old kid who hung himself. If you're hearing this and you're at all thinking about taking your own life, please, please get some help. That's not a solution. It isn't. And it has ripples and ripples and ripples of awfulness for a very, very, very long time. So there's that. The other front groups that they have, let's say I said Way to Happiness, Applied Scholastics, Narconon, Criminon, which is where they go into the prisons. They again use Way to Happiness. And again, it's a way of kind of getting Hubbard into their mind so when they get out, they can recruit him into Scientology. I think I've got them. Criminon, Narconon, Way to Happiness, Applied Scholastics, and what's the other one? If there's another one posted on here, I think there's another one. But they also have, WISE, that's the other one. They're business management, which if you're anywhere near that, get out of it. Their main intention is to get you onto the bridge, fork out a ton of money. They are an awful organization, and I can speak personally from that. I mean, they fleeced my husband, they fleeced me. You know, we won. You can't ever go to court in Scientology, ever. It's a high crime. So you have to do an arbitration. So we did an arbitration with Rosser Cole, and he even said, absolutely, this is not okay. You owe $100,000 to the one guy, $50,000 to my husband. And that was only because he'd signed some stupid thing saying he wouldn't ever, take him to arbitration or something without realizing what it was. He really owed both of them $100,000. And the guy ended up getting out of it. It was one of my major waking up points in Scientology because I realized at that point they could pay out. They got David Miscavige with money. They basically, Bill Bowen called him up, I'm sure, and said, either get rid of this or I'm not donating any more money, because he was the second to the top donator at Flag. And sure enough, what do you know? That policy was canceled that day. And my ex-husband now, was told to fly to Flag, and it was a personal issue. It wasn't a personal issue, it was a business issue. That's all it had to do with. It had nothing to do with personal. Bill had promised him he would never cut his pay, and then he went to Flag. His wife called him in and said, we've totally cut your pay. And that's what happened. That's exactly what happened. They went from $100,000 down to nothing. It was awful. And Bowens, if you're out there and you're listening to this, you guys, karma is going to come your way. I tell you, you can't pay off karma. That's one thing to know. You can't. You can pay off judges, you can pay off the police, you can pay off different people, and not all of these. Some judges are very good, some police are very good. But some people do get bought off. You can't buy off karma. You can't. So there you go on that. For the other cultures, if you're any other culture, I cannot emphasize it enough. Please educate your children, your family, about Scientology and how they do kind of pull you in. And as soon as you're signing a check, you remember what I said. It doesn't work. It doesn't. As soon as your kid is signing a billion-year contract, you can go and get him out, but get him out. Because it's bad news. It's a slave labor camp. That's what the Sea Org is. And there's many people on the internet, you can Google it, that have been there for years. There's kids that have been there as children and have their stories out. David Miscavige's niece has her story out there. Listen to them. Learn them. I'll put a few in here if I can. Anyway, watch the links and continue spreading the shocking truth about Scientology. The more links you get around, the more people are inoculated, the less people they have chance to sucker in. So there you go. Scientology, stop fleecing people. You know you are. I know you're not going to until you go to jail, but that may not be too far off. So for everyone who helps do anything to help expose the abuses of the Church of Scientology, I thank you and have a wonderful week. Bye-bye.